Six-figure owners, they chase revenue. Seven-figure owners, they track profit, cash flow, and leverage. Because sales doesn't mean crap if your expenses eat up all your profit. Did you know that only 9% of business owners ever hit the seven-figure mark? And that only 1.9% of women-owned businesses make it to a million. Now, I work with both men and women, but ladies, that stat fires me up. Seriously, how about you? Because let's be honest, those numbers aren't because women aren't good at business. It's because many of us are stuck playing small, doing everything ourselves, and trying to hustle our way there. Very often with women, women are the people who are managing that sandwich generation, and they're managing the bread on the top and the bread on the bottom because they've got elderly parents, they've got young kids, and they've got their business that's a brand new baby maybe. And they've got their team and they've got spouses, and they play so many different roles in their lives. Spouse, no spouse, so many different roles in their lives. But here's the truth. Getting to multiple six or seven figures isn't about working harder, and it's definitely not about freaking working smarter, because that phrase annoys the crap out of me. It's actually about thinking differently. It's about implementing systems and making smarter decisions. It's knowing what to eliminate, what to automate, and what to delegate so your business runs like a well-oiled machine, even when you're not in it. I'm Deirdre Martin, triple certified award-winning business strategist. I help coaches, consultants, and service providers hit their first six or seven figures. And today I'm pulling back the curtain on the real differences between a six-figure and a seven-figure business owner so you can start making the shifts that will change your revenue, your impact, and your freedom. Grab a notebook because this one is packed with loads of goodness. So the first thing is it's to start thinking through a different type of mindset. And the reason that is because if you don't get this part right, nothing else matters. The biggest difference between six-figure thinking and seven-figure thinking sounds a little bit like this. A six-figure business owner might say, how do I make more sales this month? Whereas a seven-figure business owner might think, how do I build a system that brings in sales automatically, even when I'm not working? One is short term, the other is scalable. And one of the biggest mindset shifts I've made is taking time out for clarity to stop and think about this stuff. Dan Sullivan, one of the top entrepreneurial coaches, calls this a strategy day. It's a day dedicated to thinking, not doing. I call it a CEO day, and I take at least one per month in my business. I have no client calls. I don't do any content creation. It's just me, my business dashboard, and a whole lot of thinking about what's working, what's not, and what's next. Because if you don't take time to think, you'll always be stuck in reaction mode. And that's a surefire way to stay trapped at six figures or five figures if that's where you're at and you're listening today. So before you listen to the next section, pause this right now and book your CEO day in your calendar. I'm freaking serious. If it's not scheduled, it won't happen. The second biggest mistake I see six-figure business owners make is trying to do absolutely everything themselves. And if you're answering emails, making graphics, onboarding clients, doing your bookkeeping, and manually chasing leads, guess what? Oh, this is going to sting, but you've built yourself a job, not a business. Here's what seven-figure business owners do instead. They eliminate, they cut anything that doesn't move the needle. Not everything needs to be done. The second thing they do is they automate. If you do it more than once, automate it. AI and systems exist for a reason. The third thing they do is they delegate it. They delegate it, but knowing that if someone else can do it as 80% as well as them, that's okay. And they're willing to take that risk and hand it off. And really what they're trying to do is build or create repeatable, scalable systems. Because if your business can't run without you, it's not a business, it's a dependency. So here's a tip. Create a stop doing list. Write down every single task that you do in a week. Then circle only the things that only you can do, because everything else you can eliminate, automate, or delegate. And here's one of my favorite hacks: record yourself doing some of the repeatable tasks that you do on your desk or at your laptop every day, or even with your phone. You can just record with your phone on your camera, or you can use Zoom to record your screen and then use AI tools like Scribe or ChatGPT to turn that recording and that transcript into a standard operating procedure. And that way you have a ton of SOPs. You can hand them off to a VA, virtual assistant, or a team member. So scaling doesn't have to be complicated, but you do have to get out of your own way to start. Another thing I see as a difference between six-figure business owners and seven-figure business owners, this one's kind of massive actually, is that six-figure owners, they chase revenue. Seven-figure owners, they track profit, cash flow, and leverage. Because sales doesn't mean crap if your expenses eat up all your profit. Here's what you should be tracking: revenue versus profit. If your business is growing, but your take home pay isn't, potentially that's a red flag. There might be a broken model there. Or your customer acquisition costs versus your lifetime value. And what does that mean? It means how much time does it cost to acquire a new customer versus what is the value of that customer once they become an actual client? As in, how much do they spend with you over their lifetime? Because if your customer acquisition cost is too high, essentially you're scaling a money pit, not a business. And the third thing they track ruthlessly is time versus return on effort. If a product or service takes 90% of your time but brings in only 10% of your revenue, it's time to rethink it. So here's an action step that you can take. If you're not tracking your finances weekly, start now. Even if it's just a Google sheet, know your numbers. For me, Xero has been a game changer. I got a new accountant last year. She recommended Xero, and oh my gosh, I am literally all over my numbers now. I don't enjoy it. I'm not going to pretend I do, but I want to get to seven figures at some stage in my business. I'm not putting a time on it. I'm okay with that, but I'm working towards it. And you can be the same. A fourth thing that I see six-figure business owners doing versus seven figures is that at six figures, most businesses are really high maintenance. It's because they custom everything. I'm talking inconsistent messaging because they're changing their offers. And then their delivery can be a little bit chaotic because every single thing is tailored or bespoke to the client in front of them. Whereas at seven figures, everything is streamlined. And the key shifts are from custom services to scalable solutions, from random marketing to serious brand authority and literally owning your category, and then from chasing clients to attracting them. And here's what I see is that for a lot of people, the people who are at seven figures, they are not afraid to be bold, to be contrarian, to be provocative, to be thought provoking, and to absolutely be out there in terms of their beliefs and their opinions. They are openly sharing them constantly on social media, on their website, in keynote presentations, in everything they do. They show up with authority and they absolutely own it. Whereas six-figure business owners tend to question that. They tend to have imposter syndrome or fear other people's opinions. Whereas seven-figure thinking, they're not thinking like that. They don't care. They know there's market demand for what they do, and they are so firm in their stance around the purpose that they're pursuing that they don't care if they ruffle feathers because they know their ideal clients will accept them just as they are. And that's a huge difference that I see. And in terms of the revenue piece and the client acquisition piece and the whole scalable systems, here's a really great question to ask yourself. As you're growing and scaling your business and you're in that process, if overnight, if by tomorrow you doubled your clients, could your business handle it? And if not, you need better systems. Okay, here's another thing. Six-figure owners, they hire a virtual assistant and they tend to leave it there. Whereas seven-figure business owners, they build a real team. So instead of hiring people just to take tasks off your plate, they hire leaders who will own results. So ask yourself this: how can I bring someone in who will drive revenue, efficiency, or impact? How do I create a team that runs things without me? Because if you're still micromanaging all of the things in your business, well, then you're the bottleneck. So let's take a minute to get really brutally honest. A lot of business owners, they say they want to scale to seven figures, but when you look at how they're spending their time, it's painfully clear that they're stuck. So let's clear it up. Here's what seven-figure business owners don't do. They don't spend their day reacting to their inbox. They're not checking LinkedIn 20 times a day, hoping for likes and shares and engagement. They're not the only one taking every sales call. They're not doing all the client delivery themselves. They don't jump into every urgent thing that pops up. They don't run their businesses blind without metrics, and they're not building the plane while flying it every damn day. Why? Because if your calendar is full of low leverage tasks, your growth will hit a ceiling fast and you'll burn out long before you break through. So instead, here's what those seven-figure business owners, this is what they do differently. They surround themselves with the right people. They stop asking, how do I do this, and start asking, who can own this? They hire people who take initiatives and own outcomes, not people who just wait to be told what to do. And they make sure every person on their team is accountable for a result and not a task. They schedule time out to think, they take time out of the business to work on the business. I talked about this earlier, CEO days, one full day each month with no calls, no doing, no distractions, just strategy. You cannot scale without clear thinking. You need that monthly reset to zoom out, look at the big picture, and make strategic decisions from data and not from emotion. These business owners at seven figures, they deliberately switch off. They know energy is their most important asset and they protect it. And I'm not just talking physical energy, I'm talking mental, spiritual, emotional, and physical energy. And I'm not talking about fake self care or scrolling Instagram pretending it's research. I'm talking real disconnection, like out in nature, moving, journaling, silence, meditation, whatever actually fills their tank. If you're running on fumes, everything in your business suffers, and they know that because they've probably experienced burnout just like you have and I have. These people, they're constantly asking, how can we deliver better? They're obsessed with improving their delivery, not by adding more bells and whistles, but by making it faster or simpler or more efficient. They don't just create moments for clients, they engineer them into their process. They track what matters. They don't wait for surprises. They're looking at weekly metrics that actually reflects the health of their business. I'm talking revenue, profit margins, cash flow, lead conversion, client retention. They make decisions based on real data and not the gut feels. Quite literally, not the gut feels. They lead with vision. They're not micromanaging. They're charting the course literally in the direction of the vision that is so clear to them, and that they make this vision so clear to their team as well. So their team knows what to do without having to constantly ask them. There's a roadmap there, there's priorities, and there's a standard for performance and decision making that everyone is aligned with. So all the team is pulling in the same direction. So now ask yourself honestly, are you leading or are you reacting? Are you building a business? Oh, or are you babysitting one? Because you cannot scale chaos. You scale clarity, systems, and people who get shit done without you needing to hover over them. Okay, let's wrap this up with something most people ignore: visibility. Six-figure business owners, they're quietly lurking, scared to be seen, waiting until they feel ready. But those seven-figure business owners, they show up like leaders. They create high-value content that positions them as the obvious only choice. They share insights, not just recycled advice. They speak with conviction and they don't water it down to be liked. They don't hope people stumble across them. They literally lead the conversation. So here's a tip for this. If you want to move into this level of visibility, post at least 7 times a week. Don't overthink it. Your people are already searching for someone like you. You just need to show up and say what they need to hear. And that's it. They'll be yours. So let's recap the difference between being stuck at 6 figures and scaling to 7. First off, mindset. Take CEO days and think long term. Be the visionary. Eliminate, automate, delegate, build systems. Get out of the weeds. Know your numbers. Build predictable revenue. Look at your client delivery and your brand, and then streamline, systemize, be the obvious choice. Hire for outcomes. Create a team that drives results. And then in terms of daily stuff, stop reacting. Start thinking like a true CEO. And lastly, own your expertise. Show up, be visible. Okay, there's so much in this that I'm sharing with you. I kind of feel like it's a little bit of it's a little bit like the thing America Ferrera shares in Barbie. Don't do this, do that. But here's what I want you to do. If you don't do anything else, I want you just to pick one of these to focus on this week. Don't try to do all 7. One change could unlock serious momentum, and you can save this episode and come back and listen to it again when you're ready to level up to the next one. If you want a step-by-step plan to help you implement this, go and grab my free business scaling checklist. You can download the checklist at www.deirdremartin.ie/scaling checklist. I'll walk you through the systems, metrics, and structures you need to grow with clarity. And if this episode gave you that little fire in your belly moment, send it to a fellow business owner who needs to hear it. And then hit subscribe, drop a review, and I'll catch you in the next one. Okay, off you go. Build that $1 million business. You're closer than you think. Until next time, keep mastering your business.